Big Horse, man. I want to welcome you to Bridge Business. No, just
Hey, thanks for having me, homie. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate
it. Hey, man, let me ask you this, man. Horse, like right now in boxing, man, the boxing is just, to me, it's just spread out all over the place. Mm-hmm. You can just see people trying to figure it out, man. You got so many platforms now. You got the Zone, you got PBC, you got Showtime, you got Triller, you got all of these different ways that people are viewing boxing right now, man. What, in your opinion, what platform right now is the Zone the top platform for boxing right now? Who you think it is and why?
I you know what, I think the Zone right now, because they put on there's so much performances that's going on. And plus there's a bunch of European fighters that, we really don't know about, as far as like from Europe. So that part of the world, they have great fighters and they don't get the light over here without being on, Top Rank or PBC or Showtime and stuff like that. So I think the Zone being like a more open, platform for boxers and stuff like that, it really makes the sport, even the female boxing, you know what I mean? Female boxing is the same over there. It's very, they had a bunch of female boxers. They get it in over there, so I like the Zone. I like what they're doing.
Well, who your favorite? Like right now, man? I think Gervonta Davis, Jaron Ennis. These are like some of my like choice boxers right now. Gervonta, because I watched him for so long, and I watched his ups and downs. When he didn't make weight, or you know what I mean? Or he might have had a tough fight, but he always prevailed. He always came through. To me, I feel like, up until his last fight, I never saw 100% Gervonta, and so I feel like I still haven't seen his full potential. He's one of my favorite boxers, but man, we got a chance to talk with Jaron Ennis, on Bridge Business, man. Yeah. That dude right there.
It's a beast.
Come on, man. You think people scared to fight him?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of boxers out there that they know what he can do. They know what he's capable of doing. And they'd rather take the easy way out. If you could take an easy way out or get paid for something more than fight Ennis, that's the risk that they always say, the risk. You don't want to take that risk with that dude like that, because he's fighting for the legacy. Like, he's trying to be the great. He's trying to be mentioned with the great ones. So when you mention a guy like that, he, people want the bag. He want the greatness. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of beast. This dude's training right now. He just want to fight. The dude is training right now. I guarantee you get a call right now. Hey, you want to fight in July? Guarantee you can make weight. You be ready. He's always ready to go, man. If you stay ready, you got to get ready.
Who you like right now? Like who to you? Who's like the premier, most entertaining, like well-rounded, skilled boxer that you like right now? Like your personal favorite?
Right now, honestly, my personal favorite is Shakur Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah. And the reason I want to say, because he's young, he's marketable. There's greatness. He's looking for greatness also. You know what I mean? He can be groomed well. Right now he can be like the face of boxing. He's moving up in weight. You know what I mean? He's moving up in, age and stuff like that. He's starting to get into his man strength and all that. So I really like Shakur. Like, I think that if he stay focused, he get the right management, as far as like the, guidance that stay with him and stuff like that, he's going to be one of the great ones. The dude he loves boxing. You see the guy in the corner training, he's a gym rat. He's been in this since, he's been in this since a kid. So I think Shakur Stevens is the one that he's going to do it. And Devin Haney, I think that he got it figured out. I think Devin Haney understands the marketplace of what the boxing business is, and he understands what his value in boxing is. And I think, far as all of the, the youth, I think Devin Haney pretty much got it figured out as far as that.
Yeah, but they don't want to, like, I saw Ryan Garcia, really try to dismiss and dismantle Devin Haney's championship status. He said, honestly, man, all he got is a worthless certificate. You know what I mean? Like he ain't really got a title, man. Like, the title doesn't have any value. I've never, only person I ever heard say anything remotely close to that was Floyd Mayweather. When he was, when he said, he didn't want to have to pay the sanction fees. Like, why am I paying that? You know, I'm the draw. I'm boxing. What am I? What would I care about it? But that's Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Ryan Garcia is not Floyd Mayweather. What did you think of that response?
I felt that even after he won his fight, right? After Ryan Garcia won his fight against Luke Campbell, it was funny because the first thing he said was, "Come on, Tank Davis, let's get it on. Let's fight. Let's fight." He just ran right for Tank immediately, like, you know, and you just won just to, you know, you won like a elimination. So you was the interim champion and you were supposed to fight Devin Haney. You're supposed to be your next mandatory so you can figure out who the WBC champion is. And then guess what? The fighter of that was supposed to be able to fight Teofimo. That's what I believe. And I believe he was running around trying to get big fights for the money, and he didn't want to fight what's in front of him as mandatory. And he knows what's going to happen in his mandatory. Devin Haney is going, you know, he's going to hurt him up. Going to hurt him up.
You think Devin Haney going to hurt him up? You don't think like if Garcia?
I mean, he's good. Like I said, I like him. He can get better, but I just feel like he was just, you too thirsty for Tank. After you see when he just did the Leo Santa Cruz, I mean, you see Tank is come on now. I mean, Tank is a machine. You see this is a young man that's, he's another one. He hits hard. Why would you call Tank out? Why would you take that risk with Tank over Devin Haney? Because you know why? You felt like you could make, Tank is the Mr. Pay-per-view right now. Tank is the guy that he get the views up on pay-per-view. So why not call him out?
Hey man, and I think Garcia is a talented fighter. You know, very talented. You know, from what I could tell from you know, just being a fan of the sport, you know, he got that it factor.
You know what the problem is? Let me tell you something. You know what the problem is with the sport? Now, it's hard. It's like, you know what? If Michael Jackson crowned you, right, put a crown in your head and go, hey, you the next one. That's what Canelo did to him. Like, you know what I mean? Canelo was like, yo, you know what? You the next one. And I think that once he said that, you know, as a kid, come on, Canelo's the greatest one right now as far as Mexicans. Come on now. Canelo crowned that dude the prince, and you think
he gassed him? You think he got him souped?
I think you know what, he gave him confidence, but I think that, you know, at the end of the day, you start seeing Canelo like, you know, he's not really with all this, you know, whatever, you know, far the talk. You know, he's about being professional. You see what he's doing with Ruiz. Ruiz look very focused over there. Anthony Ruiz look very, very focused over there. He's losing weight. He looks like he's getting mentored correctly. You understand where I'm coming from? So you know what? He will be a heavyweight champion again if he get a chance. Guarantee you.
Guarantee, right?
Yeah.
When I think of Canelo, man, I want him to fight Benavidez so bad. You know, David Benavidez, but
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think. I know he got Billy Joe Saunders coming up.
You know,
I thought it was really interesting that Tyson Fury came out and made a public statement that he feel like he's going to be at the fight and he's going to hold the belt up for Billy Joe Saunders because he's going to give Canelo a boxing lesson.
I mean, you got to give gas to it. I mean, come on, man. I mean, come on. I mean, they got it. I mean, you got to sell a fight. You got, you know, that's Canelo. You know, don't get me wrong. This is Canelo. He's, you know, his only loss was to Floyd. I mean, Floyd is the greatest that ever, you know, he's the, you know, the best who ever did it right now. So you took that loss. But the fight that I want to see is Benavidez and Caleb Plant. Because you know why? That's a grudge match. And I think that that's something that a fan of boxing, you should see that. And I think that's something that David Benavidez won. I think that people, far as in boxing, want to see, you know, Benavidez and Canelo. But I think the fight right now to see that'd be very, very big is Plant and Benavidez.
Benavidez, huh? And Plant.
Yeah, I think for the IBF, I think that'd really be something boxing to love right there. That'd be something I feel like boxing will really love. And you get the best of both men. I feel like that's what boxing needs right now. And that fight right there should be what promoters are looking for right now.
I mean, we used to always talk about the welterweight division because it was so hot at one point, man. And we know everybody from Danny Swift Garcia, you know, to Sean Porter, Crawford, you know, Earl Spence Jr. They all been on the show. Even Pacquiao's been on the show, you know. But it feels like now, it feel like people might have just like politic exhaust, like people just exhausted with the politics in the welterweight division right now. It's like, it's kind of frustrating, right? Like we never gonna see Spence Jr. versus Crawford, which is everybody want to see. You know, it seemed like everybody gonna avoid Ennis. You know,
well, you got Virgil Ortiz out there. There's a couple of guys out there. You got Virgil Ortiz out there. You got Ennis that's out there. I mean, Sean Porter is still a great contender. You know, for me, I think that when the WBO dropped the belt and gave it to Ugas, I think they should have gave it to Boots. If they would have gave it to Boots, now we have somebody that's in the mix. That, you know, now you guys, you want the money now, you know, you guys got something to gamble with. I'm not saying you guys ain't a good fighter, but I'm talking about the draw. I mean, people want to see champions fight champions. That's why people want to see Crawford fight Spence, because there's two champions fighting each other. They're the best at this time. You know what I mean? So if Sean Porter was a champion, like I said, if Sean would have still had the belt, he would have had to fight Crawford. So no matter what, the best got to fight the best. And I think that's the problem right now. The best don't want to fight the best. They want to get the bag. And they, you know, that's what it is. They want to get the money, man. There's nothing wrong with that. They want to get the money. So you got to do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah. You brought up Ruiz, and that's that heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder, who is, you know, friend of family, you know, friend of the show, you know, his last fight was terrible. It was a horrible experience. It was even hard to watch, you know. And I saw an interview with Tyson Fury, and he was speaking about Deontay Wilder. Obviously, he disdains him. They don't like each other. You know, Tyson Fury feel like he was, you know, disrespectful, and, you know, all the doubt that he raised about the fairness of the fight, and maybe he had something in his glove, or, you know, all the rumors that were circulating around the fight. But one thing he did say was, I don't think anybody else in the heavyweight division can beat Deontay Wilder other than me. Do you believe that to be true?
I think there's other fighters that could be Deontay Wilder. Honestly, I think there's other fighters that could be Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division. I like the young boy coming up right now, Jared Anderson. I like him. You know, he's coming up. He's a hard hitter. We got another African guy. He's hitting hard. He's coming up. I mean, these guys are, you know, Deontay Wilder's a hard hitter. He's not a great boxer. He's not a great ring guy. You know, he's not a ring veteran. Like, he doesn't go off the road. Like, he's not a guy that knows the science of boxing. You know, he goes off for strength. You know, no disrespect to his skill and stuff like that, but he really goes off of strength. Like, if he fights somebody that really knows how to box, that really knows how to box, they'll put him to work. They'll really put him to work real fast.
If he fought somebody that really know how to box.
Yeah, that really know how to box. Like, because you got to remember, this guy's going in there to try to knock you out in one punch. Boxing is, you know, if you can get over with that, you know, it works. But once you know you fight a guy that really know how to box, you know, you're gonna have to dig, and, you know, you got to pull your tricks out. You know, you have to set traps. You have to do a whole bunch of things. So once you fight a guy, I know there's a bunch of dudes that spar, that's heavyweight, that spar, that could beat him. I guarantee you, there's guys that sparred that can beat him, that he spars. I guarantee, you know, I don't know who he sparred, but I know that, you know, these guys that could beat him. I believe that Big Baby Miller could beat him. Like, if he trained.
If he trained.
Yeah, if he trained. That, you know, I think Big Baby Miller could beat him. You know, the Beast, definitely. I think the Beast. James the Beast. I think the Beast would give it to him. You know what I mean? So I think the heavyweight division is good. I mean, Anthony, you know, Joshua, he's getting better. You know, I've been seeing footage, you know, he's working on his boxing, and I respect that. You know, this is a boxing. If you're a big man, you need a jab. Work behind your jab. Everything go behind the stick. If you work behind the stick, you're gonna be successful. Look at Ali. Look at great guys that use that jab. Larry Holmes. They work behind that stick. I mean, I could keep going on for days. And you got Hearns. They use that stick, man. When they you know, you got you know, come on, Anthony Durrell. You know, all of the dudes, man. They use that. They know how to use that jab.
Tony Harrison got a nice stick too, though. You know, nice jab. You know
what it is about Tony Harrison? He fights with his hands up. You rarely see boxers fight with their hands up. Like, you know, everybody's trying to be fancy and showboat and this, that, and the third. Tony Harrison he got the basics. So that's the problem. Sometimes when you stick to the basics, it's hard to get around the basics. Keep your hands up. keep your keep your chin tucked, and keep your hands up. And he does that well. He does that well.
He about to go back, into the ring. His last fight was with Jamal Charlo, who reclaimed his belt. Does Tony Harrison ever get a rematch with Jamal?
If he's a mandatory, I believe if he's his mandatory, but Jamal got other things that he could fight. You got other guys he could fight for money and get that. I mean, this guy's a mental case. I mean, you got to remember, you got to get your mental right. Tone was the worst thing this dude ever ran into, man, as far as like as a professional. He probably argued with a couple of guys in clubs and stuff like that, but this dude was like calling them all types of shit, right? Like right to his face. If your kids is in the crowd and all this shit, whoever, you're like, damn, Dad, who's this dude that's talking to you like that? You know what I mean? So actually, that gets you to want to go in there and fuck him up instead of just like boxing, and it make you want to go in there and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna knock this dude out. And he threw you off your game plan, because your game plan is supposed to be able to, set him up, throw a few jabs or something like that, set him up. But somebody running their mouth, you want to run in there and close his mouth. So Tone was actually had him mentally beat. So I think that fight, he actually worked on his mental. So I think that right now Charlo is mentally prepared now after that loss. You know what I mean? After that loss.
He mentally prepared. Charlo got a fight coming up July 17th. Right now, I'm looking at Ak and Barack. I'm on their platforms right now. Boxing Bully. What up, family? I love these guys, man. Yeah. These dudes are they're the truth, and you can always get great information. They always post a lot of what's coming up. Jamal Charlo, July 17th against Brian Castano. Are you familiar? Are you familiar with Brian?
I'm not familiar with Brian, but guess what? I know he's a professional. This is what I'm coming from. He's a professional. This is a guy that could go in there, and I know that he has, he's not to be slept on. You know how I feel about the underdog anyway. I mean, me and you go back and forth all the
time. We do, right?
I mean, sometimes I'll be like, y'all go for this dude. Then I see the night of the fight. I'll be like, you know what? I'm starting to feel a little different about things. So, a lot of people got things to prove, and I always feel like the underdog wants your life. So I always feel like the dude that's coming in there, he want the Bentley you driving, the jewelry around your neck. So I never count the underdog out, man. So you know what? Shouts out to them. And like I said, it should be a great fight. You know what I mean? So I don't think that nobody's putting no bums in there. When people say bums, I mean, they're not bums, but I mean, they need to fight people that's ranked. So I hope that this guy's ranked. That's what I'm saying. Fight ranked contenders.
What do you think about like some of the staple, boxers that we just haven't heard from? Like, we just haven't seen any activity from like a Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen any, like, it seemed like to me, Keith Thurman could naturally, if he wanted to go to super middleweight or super welterweight or light middleweight and, challenge like a Jamal Charlo, he can actually do that. I feel like he hits hard enough to do that. I think he got the size to do that as well.
He could do it, but you know what though? The popularity of your of what you are as a boxer, you have to stay relevant. So you have to be out there. You have to start taking fights. I mean, everybody want the big fight. If the big fight guys don't want to fight you, you got to fight who's next up for you. You know what I mean? You got to be. Everybody want to be the A-list. They want to be the co-main event. I mean, don't get me wrong. See, in boxing, that's the thing about boxing and MMA. In the MMA, you could lose and you still keep your celebrity, and you still could get good fights. You still could get pay-per-view. In boxing, there's dudes like Jarrett Hurd, there's guys like Keith Thurman. They got one loss. That's it, one loss. And even guys like what's his name? Oh man, I remember the guy from Ohio, man. He got one loss against Mikey Garcia. And I can't, you know what I mean? I'm looking at these guys like, where they at, man? Where they at? They lose their celebrity, but you have to be able to fight. You just can't say, hey, I want Spence, or I want this guy, or I'm not fighting. Guess what? That's ring rust for you. You got to get in there. You think you want to fight a motherfucking champion after you was out the ring for 24 months and 18 months? Come on, man. So you got to get in there and show that, you ain't there just for the money, that you deserve to be there. That's what I'm saying.
You deserve to be there, right?
Tell them to fight Boots. Tell them to fight Boots. You know what? Fight Boots.
They ain't trying to fight Boots, man. Ain't nobody trying to stop horse. Ain't nobody trying to fight Boots. They're gonna have to meet up with them eventually, though.
Hey, listen. Like I said, I'm not saying that Danny's running and stuff like that, but Danny knows that 147 It's not the money's not going to be made. So Danny did the right thing, go up to 154. So if you move up to that, you know what? You bring a whole lot more attention to that. So Thurman should move up. I hope he should. I would love to see Thurman at 154. I mean, at least I know him and Charlo, they definitely have a good fight. I know it should be a good fight.
What do you see in the future for Jamal Charlo? You know, at middleweight.
He got a fight coming up too, so I think that he got to. You know, it's hard dealing with these guys that the business part of it, because I know that because they're not fighting the best. You know what I mean? Because anybody call your name out, you can't fight everybody. You know what I mean? That's one thing. You can't fight everybody. I want to fight this guy. I want to fight this. You can't fight everybody, but you got to fight the right guy. So I don't know how they go about picking their opponents. You know, I don't know how, you know, it's like, how's this guy next? But I hope that this guy's your mandatory. That's how I feel. If you're fighting the guy you haven't fought in a while, I hope the guy that you're fighting is your mandatory. And nobody's ducking nobody.
Okay, I'm going to ask you two more questions. One is speculative. It's like a hypothetical. And then the other one is I just want you to dig in your wheelhouse. I'm going to give you, we're going to talk knockouts in the second question, right? Okay, so to get your mind wrapped around your favorite knockout, all right? Okay, one of them at least. And then the first question is, you brought up Canelo, and you was talking about his one loss against Mayweather, you know, and that was just really, you know, that was Canelo, you know, taking the SAT, getting accepted, you know, to his favorite university and getting taught by the top professor. That's what that was. That was a schooling. That was a learning lesson, right? And then we saw what he did with the information he's learned. Like Canelo, he was a great fighter already. He became a greater fighter after losing to Mayweather. And so folks always question Mayweather's legacy. And they question, to me, when they question his legacy, not the boxing fanatics, they know, but, you know, those on the surface, you know, they don't know his first half. They just know his second half, when he got older and started becoming more strategic and calculated on the who he fought, why he fought, how he fought, right? And what motivated him. We all know what that was. Money team. He says it in his name, right? So I saw recently Canelo made a comment that if he was to step into the ring today, he would definitely beat, you know, Mayweather. You know, he was so assured that, yeah, I would definitely win now because of what I've learned. I'm a way better fighter, which he is. I'm a more evolved boxer, which he is. Everything he said was true, but he said it today, he would beat Mayweather. Today, who's to say? Mayweather is years older. He's in his 40s now. He doesn't obviously train like he once did. You know, he probably don't even have the same desire. He's done everything there is to do in boxing. So since this is a hypothetical that we're speaking, if you put Canelo now against Mayweather in his prime, prime Mayweather, you know, I mean, who you think come out victorious?
You know what it is crazy because Mayweather was always hard to hit. But I think, like you said, with the knowledge that Canelo have right now, I think that the fight might be a draw. I think it'll be something like a trilogy or something like that, because it's one of those type of fights, because Floyd played chess, you know what I mean? So Floyd knows that, because Canelo's strong, you know what I mean? So you got to think about the way his weight went around. This guy can carry muscles. This guy can really, you know, throw his weight around. So I think that, you know, with Floyd right now, I think it'll be a trilogy. He'll win one. I think it'll be like a trilogy or something like that, honestly.
Floyd in his prime.
In his prime, yeah, because you know why? You're not gonna knock Floyd out, right? Floyd ain't gonna knock him out, right? So it's gonna be a boxing match for 12 rounds. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when it come down to judges today, sometimes the favorite, you know what I mean? So like I said, I believe that if neither one of them get knocked out, they're gonna become draws, because those fights, Floyd's gonna win a round, he's gonna win a round, Floyd's gonna win a round, he's gonna win a round. So I think that it would have been, you know, it'd have been great for boxing, especially today.
I think that's a great explanation. I still give it to Floyd by points, you know, split decision. You know, I still, because to your point, I think if Floyd figured him out and does everything he can not to get hit. You know, I just think he's a superior mind in the ring. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to. It ain't going to boil down to brawn, not necessarily the physicality as much as it is the mental. And I think that's where Floyd edges him out
You know where Floyd beat people at? Honestly, this is what I realized about boxing. I've been watching boxing for so long. You got to watch people face when the pay-per-view lights come on, not just the regular lights, like, from, this, that, and third. When the pay-per-view lights come on, man, homie, they look like deer over there, man. Floyd start laughing. I mean, every fight you look at Floyd and whoever he fought, Pacquiao, whoever he fought, look at the dude's eyes the first time they fought. The first time they fought, they be like, it's showtime. Floyd, wake
in this
up.
corner.
Listen, Floyd, wake up. Floyd like, oh, man, there go my lights. Floyd like, there go the lights out. There go the money lights. Them dudes be like, I ain't never seen HD lights. Like, what the hell? They ain't never seen it like that before. So I always feel like Floyd, when you fight Floyd, you at the top of shit. So mentally, he already got you beat. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with it, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a huge Canelo fan, like Canelo Alvarez fan. Like, he too, man. I think that dude put boxing on his back. You know what I mean? Like, boxing missed Floyd. It was a void in boxing. Even though Floyd come back and do the exhibition fights, Canelo holds up the honor of boxing. Like, he's a true traditional, honorable, respectable fighter. You can't say shit about who he is in the ring, and you can't really say a lot about who he is outside of the ring. They had the one discrepancy about the meat or the cows in Mexico with the whatever that is. I
mean, like I said, we've seen this guy move around from 147 to 200 pounds and bounce around between there. You know what I mean? So, and he found, felt himself comfortable at 168. So I can't see him going back down to 147. I can't see him going back down to 154. So those certain fights ain't going to happen. Just like David Benavidez. I can't see David Benavidez going down to 154. So he's staying at 168 or he's staying up to 175 and he's moving up. He's not going to go down. So certain fights that everybody want to see, the only way them fights is going to happen is if Charlo and to move up. Like, you got to move up. You got to come up with the big boys. That's the only way. And like I said, maybe he feel like it's time to move up too. You know what I mean? So, we see what it is. And the dude I was talking about, his name was Robert Easter. He was another guy. Yeah. He had one loss, and he lost to Mikey Garcia. And I just felt like he lost. He just like, he faded into the shadows of boxing. And he still didn't be out there. So like I said, a lot of those promoters out there and a lot of these dudes, maybe they need to start getting on this Instagram and start coming to these platforms like this and start putting yourself out there saying who you want to fight, who's ducking you, who, like, honestly, it has to be that. There's no way you're not ranked in the top 5 and you're not ranked in the top 10 or the top 5. Like, how you not ranked and you have one loss? Jared Hurd has one loss. He lost to J. Rock Williams. Okay. No problem. That's it. That's what I'm saying. He never had a chance to come back and redeem himself. Like, where that's at. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's who he got to fight. I would love to see Jared Hurd and Charlo fight. That's another dude I would have loved to see fight right there.
Jared Hurd and Charlo?
Yeah, that's a fight I would like to see. That's the fight. I like to see that fight right there. That's a good fight.
That's a good fight. That's a good fight, Horace. That's a good fight. So here's the question, right? My favorite knockout of all time. Damn, that's a big statement. That's a big statement.
I mean,
I'm gonna stick with it. My favorite of all time. I got to tell the story behind it first, though. when I was in elementary, the first book report I ever had to write was about Muhammad Ali, and I read this book, The Greatest. Right, and man, I romanticized about Ali, who he is, who he was, the work he had done, the fact that he, protested the draft because he didn't believe in the reason the country was going over there bombing a whole foreign country that did nothing to the black man in America. I couldn't believe he did that. They stripped him of all his certification, and then that man in 1974, came back and fought in the Rumble in the jungle against George Foreman, who was a headhunter. He was taking people's heads off with one punch, Horse. Man. He was taking their head. He lifted up Joe Frazier when he punched
down like 5 times, man. I mean, he broke Frazier up bad, man.
Nobody thought Ali would beat him. Nobody believed he could beat him, especially at that stage in his career. And Ali, if you watch that, come on, Boombaye, and you watch that 8th round and you saw how strategic and calculated he was and how he he just played the role. The rope-a-dope was invented in that fight. You know what I mean? And for him to, in that 8th round, man, it couldn't happen any other time in that split moment, be able to catch George Foreman at his weakest point, so much so that when he knocked him down, he couldn't pick himself back up, and he won the fight TKO. Man, I wrote a book report as a kid about that horse. And hey, bro, I used that fight as motivation throughout my elementary and junior high school years. I thought I was Muhammad Ali. To this day, I can still dig into that. That knockout was so sweet because it didn't take a whole lot of force, a whole lot of energy. He didn't punch him hard. He just punched him right. You know what I mean? And precise. And it looked like poetry in motion. That was one of my favorite knockouts of all time. What's one of yours?
I think my favorite knockout is like it's the anniversary of the fight. So my favorite knockout of all times was with Hearns and Hagler. For me, that because you know what it was? Hagler was bleeding, coming forward. You know, Hearns was who he was, standing toe to toe. They was exchanging, and man, and you know what it was? It was the letter T. Once he laid him down, he just was like, letter T, man. It was over, man.
The letter T?
Yeah,
got him down like a T-bone steak.
Yo, listen, if somebody letter T you, man, party done. So I think, after I seen that right there, that was like, man, that was a fight where you saw a dude that was in the dog fight. And the dog that had the biggest bite won the fight. So, I think that was my favorite. I mean, there's so many we can go with, you know what I mean? It all depends the eras we go to. If we talk about Tyson or we talk about this one, that one, it's so many, man.
We could do each episode, we'll point out a different knockout we like.
Absolutely, but we're going to scratch them 2 off that we got right there.
Okay, let's scratch that off. Let me scratch that off real quick, man. Come on, Horace. Come on, man.
Yes.
All right, man. What's the fight you looking forward to most?
The fight I'm looking forward to most right now is Clarissa Shields, man. Clarissa Shields, her MMA fight, man. I'm looking for her MMA fight, man. I want to see how she looking at an MMA fight that she have coming up in June, man. I want to see how she make the transition to that. That's
the queen right there. Clarissa Shields is holding down women's boxing on her shoulders, and salute to her. And she out here like an activist in the spirit of Muhammad Ali. Asking for equality for women in the sport. I could appreciate her doing that. We saw the Williams sisters do that, in tennis. We saw the USA soccer team do that in soccer. Especially when they won that Olympic gold. I could go down a list of women who have been on that front line for equality. Clarissa Shields is between her and Layla Ali. Yes. Early on, Clarissa Shields has picked up the baton and really fighting, making ground for equality for women. So salute to our sister. I'm looking forward to May 8th. I always like an Alvarez fight. Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo Alvarez in that ring May 8th. They trying to, they're going to unify these titles, Horse. I'm looking for that, man. Who you got?
I mean, I'm gonna go with Canelo, man. I gotta go. I can't. I just want to see a great fight. That's what it is. I just want to see a great outing. I mean, go for it, and shout out to Sanders. I know he's the underdog in this anyway, but go for it, man. You know what I mean? That's all you can do. Give it your all, man. I just want to see a great fight. I just want to see a great fight. That's all. Just for the sport. Y'all both champions. It's something. That is something that the sport needs. The sport needs to see 2 champions fight. You know what I mean? So I think that's great for the sport. So shouts out to both of them, man. I want to see that happen.
All right, man. Hey, man, shout out to you, Horace, man. It's always good talking, baby.
Hey, man,
it's always good talking, man. Bridge business, baby. Bridge business.
Y'all make sure y'all tune into that podcast and everything. Y'all catch up, man. We got like 17 episodes up there. Y'all check out everything that we got out there, man. There's a lot of information on there, man. We got some of your favorite fighters up there. We have MMA fighters. We have Clarissa Shields up there. We got Mexican fighters. I mean, come to Bridge Business. See what's coming up, what's going on. To the rest of them fighters out there, for real, come to Bridge Business. You got something you want to get off your chest that you think boxing need, come to Bridge Business. Podcasters, y'all invited too, man. Invite me to your podcast, man. Let's talk sports, man. Come to Bridge Business. Tune in everywhere you go. Hit the links below, the page. Follow the Bridge Business podcast. Look out for the merch, man. We on our way up, man. We coming. Let them know.
Bridge Business. Done. Yee!
Yee! Yee! Done. Yee!